was at all your services on a Sunday, which always leaves the preacher with a conundrum, which is you prepare a sermon for a baptism, but the other service, there's no baptism. And usually it's the 8 a.m. service that there's a baptism at 10, and so they've got my modified sermon saying, if we were doing a baptism, this is what I would tell you. But it was the opposite today, because Tom and Hillary Sheldon's little girl, Flora, she's 2 months old, we baptized her at 8 o'clock. So to you all, I say, there's a little bit of baptismal imagery in this, and that is a mighty fine thing, even as next week we'll celebrate the feast of the baptism of Jesus. So baptism. The idea of a baptism is one that's just lovely. It is, especially when you have a little 2-month-old girl. She was just perfect. She got a little upset when I couldn't get her bonnet off of her, but once I put the water on her head, she calmed down. She fell asleep when I walked her down the aisle. It was beautiful. It was more than that. It was wonderful. Wonderful is a word that figures very importantly in our collect for today. A God who wonderfully created and yet more wonderfully restored. Seems appropriate. It's still Christmas, no matter what anybody else tells you. It's still Christmas. We've still got a couple of days left, and they say it's the most wonderful time of the year. And that word has over time been almost devalued, because when we think of wonderful, we say, oh, that chocolate cake she made was wonderful. Or that movie was just wonderful. This is all wonderful. And oh, it was a wonderful baptism. But I want to think about it in terms of being full of wonder. That moment when you are poised, that the everyday, all of a sudden you become aware of the cosmic kind of reality. The fact that this little baby was baptized today because of a man who lived 2,000 years ago, that in almost 8 billion people on this planet, not to mention the people who came before, that this one little child has been born, and because she's going to be this person that is unique and wonderful. We live, as we'll say, with the God who is in our Eucharistic prayer, created the galaxy, suns, the planets and their courses, and this fragile earth, our island home. The God who wonderfully created, and yet more wonderfully restored. Wonderful. I don't know that I'm going to be able to change it and only ever use it for something really big, but for this, it's, I think, the perfect word, because it does bring into it the things that are divine and human. The wonder that happens when we face what is the miracle of everyday life. It goes on, the collect, to say, grant that we may share the divine life of him who humbled himself to share our humanity. In this season of Christmas, as we celebrate the incarnation of God, we often think of how God has come to us. And that is wonderful. But God is here lifting us also to the divine. And the blessing for Christmas, we say, Christ who gathered into one things earthly and things heavenly, fill you with his joy and peace. The wonder of a baptism, the wonder of Christmas, the wonder of everyday life is that the God who created us, created all those stars out there, and cares enough about us to be with us throughout our lives. It is a miracle when any child is born. It's a miracle when we live and grow and come to know God. Wonder is something that should overwhelm us. So I say these words, who wonderfully created and yet more wonderfully restored, from a godly perspective. From the perspective not of chocolate cake or of a movie you really love or, Christmas trees and Christmas music. The wonder that when you think about it, star in the fathomless universe that surrounds us. That God so loved us that he would give his only begotten Son, to the end that all that believe in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.